Chapter 4. Market Day Nerves. Lilly woke to the sound of her own heartbeat. For a moment, she lay perfectly still in the half-light of morning, staring at the ceiling, replaying last night on an endless loop. The town hall, the gingerbread houses, the mulled wine, Jack's mouth brushing hers under the lantern light, and then his face, eyes wide, words stumbling over each other, retreating down the lane like the snow itself was chasing him. She groaned and pulled the pillow over her face. "Of course," she muttered into the cotton. "Of course I kissed the man who delivers my eggs. Fantastic business decision." After a few seconds of self-pity, she threw the pillow aside and sat up. The room was cold, the cottage quiet. The world outside still tinted blue. On the little desk by the window, May's unopened wooden box sat where she'd left it last night. The one carved with an M, the one holding the truth. She stood and crossed the room, fingers trailing along the edge of the box. It felt heavier today, as if it knew she was avoiding it. "Not yet," she whispered, almost apologetically. "Today is already going to be a lot." Snowberry Christmas Market Day. She had trays of gingerbread and cinnamon buns to finish, a stall to set up, and an entire village to not humiliate herself in front of. She didn't have the emotional capacity for long-buried family secrets on top of that. "Tonight," she promised the box quietly. "I'll open you tonight." 15 minutes later, bundled in layers and clutching a thermos of tea like a lifeline, she stepped outside. The village buzzed in a way it hadn't before. Voices in the distance. Laughter. The scrape of stalls being set up on the square. She turned the corner onto the main lane, just in time to see a familiar figure. Approaching the bakery. Jack! He walked with his hands in his pockets, hat pulled low, jaw tight. As he got closer, he glanced up, and their eyes met. The air seemed to hiccup. "Morning," he said. His voice was casual. Too casual. The kind of casual that screamed, "I am trying very hard to be normal." "Morning," she replied, matching his tone. "You're up early." He snorted softly. "I have livestock. They don't care about market day." "Oh, right, your egg squad." That earned her a real smile, one that tugged at one corner of his mouth. He looked like he wanted to say something else, then thought better of it, shifting his weight instead. "About last night," he said finally. Her stomach plummeted. "You don't have to—" "I'm sorry." The words tumbled out quickly. "I shouldn't have done that. Outside your cottage, it was unexpected," she offered, hoping her voice didn't shake. "Yeah," he winced. "That. I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable." Long day, mulled wine, idiot brain. She let out a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. "You didn't make me uncomfortable," she said quietly. "Confused, maybe, but not uncomfortable." He looked at her then, properly, like he was searching her face for some hidden answer. "So we're okay?" he asked. She hesitated for half a heartbeat, then nodded. "We're okay," she said. "But I do need you today, and if you go weird on me, I reserve the right to throw a gingerbread man at your head." That made him laugh, relief, warm and sharp. "Deal," he said. "Come on, London. Let's get you through your first market." The bakery was already warmer than outside, oven humming, the faint smell of spices clinging to the walls. Without Poppy's chaotic presence, the kitchen felt quieter, more focused, more theirs. "She's at a friend's house," Jack said when Lilly glanced around. "Sleepover, which means she'll be even more feral tomorrow. So we're safe for one day," Lilly replied. "For a few hours at least." They worked in easy rhythm. It surprised her how quickly we had become the default in here. "We'll finish this batch, we'll organize the trays, we'll not burn Snowberry Hollow to the ground." Jack handled the oven and the heavier lifting. Lilly piped icing onto gingerbread with increasing confidence, her hands less shaky than the day before. "You're getting the hang of it," he said, sliding a tray onto the counter. "Don't jinx it," she muttered, but she couldn't stop the small smile. They iced, packed, and stacked. By mid-morning, the bakery counter was lined with boxes, each neatly labeled. Cinnamon buns, Holly and Hearth, Snowberry gingerbread, May's recipe. Under that, in Lily's smaller handwriting, she'd added, "Attempted with love by Lilly." Jack noticed and pointed, amused. "Admit it," he said. "You're starting to like it here." She paused, fingers stilling on the ribbon she was tying. "I'm starting to not hate it," she corrected. Then, softer, "And I'm starting to understand why she loved it." He didn't push, just nodded once respectfully. Ready? He asked. She looked at the tower of boxes, at the wooden stall sign she'd painted late last night with shaking hands, Holly and Hearth Bakery in red, with a little sprig of holly in the corner. As I'll ever be, she said. The square was alive. Dozens of stalls lined the cobblestones, some selling handmade candles, others with knitted scarves, jars of jam, little carved toys. Fairy lights were strung overhead, creating a canopy of warm gold against the pale winter sky. Children ran past, cheeks flushed. Parents called after them. Someone tuned a guitar on a small stage at the far end. Lilly inhaled deeply, mesmerized. It's like a Christmas movie, she whispered. Jack's lips twitched. Try not to panic if the third act drama hits. Very funny. Ben waved them over from an empty stall frame near the center of the square. There she is, he said as Lilly approached, arms full of boxes. Queen of the oven. More like clown of the oven, Lilly replied, setting the boxes down. I'm still not entirely sure half of these aren't cursed. We'll eat the cursed ones, Ben said cheerfully. Builds character. Together, they decorated the stall with garlands, hung the holly and hearth sign, and arranged trays in tempting displays. Lilly fussed with the arrangement, then realized she was stalling. Stop, Jack said gently, touching her wrist. They look great. You're biased, she replied. Maybe, but I've also eaten worse, he said. And paid for it. She laughed, the knot in her chest loosening. As the first visitors trickled past, an older woman with white hair and a fur-trimmed coat approached the stall. She peered at the gingerbread, then at Lilly. You're May's niece, she said. It wasn't a question. Yes, Lilly said. I'm Lilly. The woman's expression softened. I'm Nora Caldwell. Your mother and I grew up together. I changed your nappies once. Lilly blinked. Oh, that's a very specific memory. Nora laughed, bright and unapologetic. She would have been so happy to see you here, you know. My mother? Lilly asked, taken aback. Nora nodded. Both of them. May and your mom. Before everything went wrong. The words settled heavily in the air. Before what went wrong? Lilly asked quietly. Nora hesitated. Her gaze flicked to Jack, then back to Lilly. That's not a story for a market day, she said softly. But talk to the right people, Lilly. Snowberry keeps its secrets. Until you've proven you're staying. She placed a few coins on the counter and selected a cinnamon bun, patting Lily's hand before she walked away. Lilly watched her go, feeling the now familiar push and pull in her chest, curiosity, confusion, the ache of missing people she'd never had the chance to truly know. Jack leaned a hip against the stall. You okay? Everyone keeps talking in riddles, she said. It's like the whole village agreed to drip feed me tiny pieces of my own life. That's Snowberry for you, Jack replied. Information is shared on a strictly seasonal basis. She snorted. Of course it is. The hours that followed blurred into a whirl of faces, voices, and small moments. Children pressing noses to the display. Parents buying just one more bun. Someone declaring that the gingerbread tastes like maize, but a little different in a good way. Every time someone said maize, Lilly felt something lift in her chest. Like she was doing something right. Like she was stepping into a space that had been waiting for her. Jack stayed nearby, helping when the line grew, managing change, fetching hot chocolate when her fingers started to go numb. Every so often, their hands brushed over paper bags and coins. Neither of them mentioned last night again, but the awareness lingered, like a secret between them. Just after midday, Lilly was focused on tying up a small bag of gingerbread when a familiar voice sliced through the comfortable hum. Busy day, I see. Vanessa. Lilly straightened slowly. Vanessa stood at the front of the stall, coat flawless, lipstick perfect, not a snowflake daring to cling to her hair. Her gaze swept over the display, then over Lilly, then flicked to Jack, who stiffened beside her. Vanessa, he said, tone cool. Jack, she smiled, then turned her attention back to Lilly. I must admit I'm impressed. I wasn't sure you'd be able to pull this off. Neither was I, Lilly replied honestly. But here we are. Vanessa's eyes narrowed slightly, as if annoyed by the lack of nervousness. Well, Vanessa said lightly, I hope you're not exhausting yourself. December is a long month, and running a bakery is more of a marathon than a sprint. I'll keep that in mind, Lilly said. Vanessa leaned in a fraction. Just remember what we talked about. If you decide this is too much, My offer stands. There is a very interested buyer, and property values won't stay this high forever. Lilly met her gaze squarely. I'm running it for the month, she said. That was May's condition. After that, I'll decide. Vanessa's smile thinned. Of course. She turned to pick up a small bag of gingerbread. Still, I'd hate for you to get attached. It makes walking away so much harder. Lilly didn't flinch. Maybe that's the point. For a moment, something flickered in Vanessa's eyes. Surprise? Maybe. And something like annoyance. She dropped a few coins onto the counter, turned on her heel, and walked away without another word. Jack let out a low whistle. You know that was the diplomatic version of a declaration of war, right? I gathered, Lilly said dryly, heart pounding. Was I too harsh? He shook his head. You were perfect. She tried not to let that word sink in too deeply. By late afternoon, the trays were nearly empty. Only crumbs and a few misshapen cookies remained. Ben swung by, snagged the last slightly burned bun, and declared it a masterpiece of texture. Ellie dropped off a thermos of soup and insisted, Lilly, eat something that isn't sugar. When the sun began to dip and the lights overhead grew brighter, the village gathered near the small stage at the end of the square. Someone strummed a guitar, and voices rose in the first carol of the evening. Go, Jack said softly, nudging her with his elbow. You should see this from over there. It's tradition. What about the stall? Lilly asked. I've got it, he said. You did the hard part. She hesitated, then stepped away from the counter, moving closer to the crowd. Children clutched glow sticks, older couples held hands, parents swayed gently with babies in their arms. The warmth of the music and the village wrapped around her. She closed her eyes briefly, letting the sound wash over her. For the first time in a long time, she didn't feel like she was watching life from the outside. She was in it, right in the middle of it. Someone moved to stand beside her. She opened her eyes to see Jack, cheeks pink from the cold, hat pushed back a little, eyes warm. I thought you were at the stall, she said. Ben and Ellie bullied their way into covering it, he replied. Said you earned 5 minutes off. She laughed softly. I like them. They like you, Jack said. Then quieter. The village does too. She swallowed. You're really sure? I am. The music swelled, silent night floating into the crisp air. Snow fell more thickly now, flakes catching in Lily's hair. Jack looked at her for a moment. Really looked. Eyes tracing the line of her features, the curve of her mouth, the way she held herself, like she wasn't used to being part of something but wanted to be. Last night's moment hung between them, unspoken and fragile. He shifted slightly, shoulders tensing, as if fighting the instinct to lean in again. This time he didn't. Instead, he murmured, You did good today, Lilly. She smiled up at him. So did you. Their shoulders brushed, just barely, as the village sang around them. And somewhere under the snow and the music and the glow of 100 small lights, something steady and quiet settled into place. Not a kiss, not a confession, but the beginning of something that might become both. That night back at the cottage, with the faint echo of carols still ringing in her ears, Lilly sat at the small desk, May's wooden box in front of her. The house was silent. The market was over. Her hand still smelled of cinnamon. She lifted the lid. The letters lay on top, edges yellowed, string slightly frayed. Her fingers hovered, then moved past them, toward the folded paper that read, For the truth, not before she's ready. Her heart hammered. Okay, she whispered. I think I'm ready. She unfolded the paper. And as her eyes moved over the first lines, her breath caught in her throat. Because the truth was nothing like what she'd imagined.